Hey, how's it going? And today I wanted to do a tutorial about what I'm calling an advanced do once. And I'm calling it advanced because I'm incorporating a couple features in there that you don't normally see and that I think can be a little confusing, especially to beginners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Island Templates and I'm going to go into Blank Project, and I've got to call this something new. So I'll call this AA and we'll go create. And this will just take a minute. This is related to a couple of major concepts that I've been fine-tuning lately, and I'm trying to get away from doing subscriptions and at editables and using tags a lot more. So to get started with this, I'm just going to go into Verse Explorer, click here, and we'll go add new verse file to project, and I'll call this do once one device. And I'm doing this because I've already done this and I don't want to conflict with the device I've already created. Now this seems to be new, but it used to automatically compile, but now it doesn't. So now I've got to go verse, build verse code, and then this file is going to come in here. And like I said, I already have the code written, so I'm just going to go Control A and delete that and go Control V. And here's the code. It doesn't seem like very much code, but there's a lot going on here and it can be very confusing, again, like especially to beginners. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a class from the tags, and you have to have this module up here to do this. And I'm just going to put a trigger device into the scene, one trigger device, that's it. I want verse to be able to go and get that device and bring it into the code. So I'm going to call that device just trigger. That's the tag name. And so then I call this, here's do once. I should actually make that one there. And so I'm creating a variable here, and this is truly just an empty shell. It looks like there's something there, but there's really nothing there. If I were to bring this into the code, this device into the code, we wouldn't see anything there. So this is just like a placeholder for what will be there. It's just a placeholder. This is not a constant. This is just this is an option, and it can be either true or false, and it's set to a variable, and it's of the cancelable. It's a cancelable interface. What this allows us to do is cancel subscriptions. So you see a lot of subscribing going on because that's how we bind events to each other, right? There's a function called get creative objects with tag. So what this does is this is a method, and it's built into verse, and it's going to go through my game and get all of the creative objects that are tagged with the tag trigger. And in this case, there's only going to be one. That it's going to return an array of those objects, but there's only going to be one item in that array. That array I'm calling tag array. And because I know there's only one item in that array, I can access it by just putting 0 there and assign that to tag element. Then once I have tag element, and this is I think where people can get really confused, it's important to understand, like if we click on this, if I hold Control and follow this here, you'll see get creative objects with tag, and you'll see it's an interface. And if I click here, you'll see it's getting creative objects, right? So that's one class. This is a class called a base class called creative object, right? So every device is a creative object, right? So all devices are creative objects, but not all creative objects are what we are looking for. So we have this creative object in an array, and it went and got everything called trigger, and there's only one thing in the scene called trigger with that tag. So what we're saying is get that creative object class and essentially cast it to trigger. So if that tagged element is a trigger device, which it will be, then go ahead and assign that to my trigger reference. Then once I have that trigger reference, I can assign that now to my placeholder variable up here, or trigger device. So now I essentially have instantiated my trigger device that's in the scene. So my trigger now, instead of subscribing and using that editable, I've assigned it now to my trigger, the same as if I'd almost subscribed it. Now once I have that device referenced, I can subscribe that to this function down here, and all this function does is going to print a string. But the thing is, and this is the whole point of this whole tutorial, is I only want that to happen one time. And there's different ways you could code that logic in there to make something only happen one time. But this really is a great way to do it, because if I don't cancel this subscription, then this event could keep happening over and over again. And maybe I don't want it to happen again. I just want it happens once, and then I want the whole thing literally canceled. I don't want it to even be on the table again. So this is really a do once and forget it until the game starts over again. So then what I can do is I can call my subscription that we created up here, right? And I can set it to this event here, right? This triggered sub event. So now I've set this option type. What I can do then is when this makes the call, what we're going to do is get that cancelable out of that option, assign it to this sub, and then we can use this line of code to cancel that subscription. So what's going to happen is we're going to step on that trigger one time. It's going to print out this message, the trigger device has been triggered, and then it will never happen again for the rest of the game. So this is a way to do once, using kind of more of these advanced concepts of where we're getting references to our creative objects and then setting up subscriptions and then canceling those subscriptions. With this code all set, what we're going to do is I'm just going to come here and build verse code, and then I'm going to drag my device into the scene, and there's nothing to set up here, and then I can go get a trigger device. And what I like about this, I really like getting away from all those add editables and setting everything up like manually every time. So that's why I'm pushing this tags. That's why I'm pushing these tutorials on tags, because I really feel like this is the efficient way. The only thing I have to do is tag this device now. So I have to come over here. This is the only extra step I got to do, is go search for tag here. But this is easy enough to do. This isn't much work, and just tag that trigger. So now that device is tagged. So that's all I have to do. And now I don't have to do that add editable thing or the subscriptions. At least I don't have to do them over here on the verse device. So now all I have to do is push these changes and see if this works. So I'll be back just as soon as that's done. Okay, we're back, and let's see if this works. I just go start game, and let's see. Yep, and there's the message that triggered, see? And it should be up in the upper left-hand corner for about 10 seconds, and then it should send in the cancellation. Now if I go back over the trigger, see, it doesn't print again. So anyway, that's all I had for today. I hope you found it helpful. Take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.